Two of the top candidates to replace Darian DeVries as head coach of the West Virginia men's basketball team are reportedly off the board, those being Ben McCollum and Niko Medved. In this episode of Hoops from the Hills, we're going to talk a little bit about that, talk about what candidates remain for Ren Baker in West Virginia. And I'm going to give one specific name that has risen to the top of my wish list. We're going to talk about that in this episode of Hoops from the Hills. So stick around and we'll have that conversation right after this word from one of my channel sponsors. Hey, do me a favor. Go check out my good friends over at Appalachia Digital. If you need a brand new website for your small business, or if you're just looking to get found easier on Google, go check out appalachiadigital.com/Couz. These are the fine folks who designed my brand new website over at WVSportsChat.com. They did a fantastic job. I love their work. I think you will too. So go check them out. appalachiadigital.com/Couz. Let them know Couz sent you. I also want to thank them for supporting my work here at Couz's Corner and at Hoops from the Hills. Now let's get back to the show. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Hoops from the Hills. Thank you for joining the show. I ask that if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel here. Now let's dig into the episode. Niko Medved and Ben McCollum officially now off the board. We heard over the weekend, or actually Sunday to be technical, that Ben McCollum was going to Iowa. That didn't become official, though, until today, as I record this Monday, March 24th. Just a few minutes after that, it was announced that Niko Medved was off to take the job at the University of Minnesota, which is his alma mater and a team he grew up rooting for and going to games to watch. His dad was even a season ticket holder, based on what I've read. So that's kind of a no-brainer. Ben McCollum, from the state of Iowa, spent his last year coaching in the state of Iowa, doesn't have to move that far away, can coach his home state flagship school in the Iowa Hawkeyes. Again, it's tough to compete with that, right? If you're West Virginia, it's tough to compete with a guy who wants to stay and coach in his home state. Also tough, a guy like Niko Medved who gets to go back and coach his dream school. It would be kind of like trying to get Bob Huggins to go somewhere outside of West Virginia, right? That's just the way it is. Money may not be the main factor here. It may not mean that Ren Baker's not doing a good job. It just means tough competition this go around based on circumstances outside of Ren Baker's control. Now, there are other options, though. I am not at all worried about this hire. I do trust Ren Baker. He's shown that he can hire basketball coaches. He's great at it. It might be one of his strong suits or strongest suit. He's done it throughout his entire career, and very, very seldom, if ever, has gotten it wrong. So I trust him. Now, one of the names that keeps popping up is Jarrod Calhoun, the former coach or former assistant under Bob Huggins. Spent 5 years under Huggins, has been the head coach at Fairmont State, Youngstown State, and most recently at Utah State, who he just led to the NCAA tournament in his first season there. Now, a lot of people are not high on Jarrod Calhoun, and I understand why. There are reservations. His defensive statistics have not been good throughout his career at many of his stops. So I understand why there might be some hesitation there or some reservation amongst the fan base. But I still think Jarrod Calhoun is a really good basketball coach. He's had success at every stop. 20-plus win seasons at Youngstown State, a program who has won less than half of their games throughout their history. Well, he won over half his games there. Started off slow, rebuilt the program, ended it with 2 20-plus win seasons and a conference championship. Led Utah State to 26 wins and a spot in the NCAA tournament with an at-large bid. Took a D2 school in Fairmont State from West Virginia to the national championship where, by the way, coincidentally, he lost to Ben McCollum's Northwestern Missouri State team. So Jarrod Calhoun can coach basketball. There's no doubt in my mind that he can. Now, is he my top choice for the job? Not really. And I'm going to tell you why. I have discovered a guy by the name of Brian Hodgson. First credit goes to Mike Couz over at 24/7 Sports. He put Brian Hodgson on the hot board over there a couple days ago. I didn't report on it because it was on, it's behind the paywall, and I try to be respectful of that. But now the name has been floated out a few times on Twitter. I feel like it's out in the public domain now, so I can talk about it. But Brian Hodgson is a name that is off my radar. I was not familiar with Brian Hodgson, full disclosure. Don't follow Arkansas State basketball closely, so I was not aware, but I dug into his resume, dug into some of his statistics, watched a few highlights. I'm now in love with this possibility. Brian Hodgson, currently the coach at Arkansas State in the Sun Belt Conference, He spent 2 seasons there. Both seasons he won 20 games. He just took them to the NIT, was 1 win away from getting them into the NCAA tournament, but they lost to Troy in the Sun Belt Conference Championship. But Brian Hodgson has spent majority of his career as an assistant coach under Nate Oates. First at Buffalo, then at Alabama. Was part of that really good teams under Nate Oates at Alabama. Some of the top recruiting classes. Matter of fact, he's an ace recruiter. That might be the number one reason I like Brian Hodgson is his ability to recruit. He's an ace recruiter. During his time at Alabama, they brought in top 15 classes for 4 years during his time, and he's a large part of that. He's responsible for recruiting players like Jaden Bradley and Brandon Miller to Alabama. Another thing I like about him, he has dipped his toes into Canada multiple times to bring some of the top players from Canada into Tuscaloosa, Alabama to play basketball. It can't be easy to get a guy to go all the way from Canada to Tuscaloosa. So he should be able to get them from Canada to West Virginia. Now, I'm not saying West Virginia is a better basketball program than Alabama today. They're not, obviously. Now, historically, they probably are, but in recent times, they're not. Alabama is one of the top programs in the country right now. So that means something. But from a travel perspective, Morgantown is a lot closer to Canada than Tuscaloosa is. He also is a Western, he coached at Buffalo, but he's also from Western New York. So he would likely have ties to that area as well into Canada. So that probably helps there. But he's a great recruiter. He will now have ties from his days in Alabama. He will have connections there more than likely, as well as the connections he's carried with him from his Western New York days. He spent a lot of time as an assistant, as a coach as well at smaller schools. He spent a lot of time working camps under people like Bob Huggins. He's worked West Virginia camps under Bob Huggins. He's worked camps at Duke under Mike Krzyzewski. He's worked camps at Michigan State under Tom Izzo, under Syracuse, under Jim Boeheim at Syracuse, among other schools. He's worked camps. He's worked the AAU circuit. He's coached at junior college. He's coached at the G5 level. Now he's coached. He's been an assistant at all those levels. He's been an assistant at the P4. Now he's been a head coach. He has checked almost every single box you want, especially the recruiting piece. On top of that, he's only 37 years old. He has all this experience and is only 37 years old. So he will be able to connect with recruits because he's young. Hasn't been out of college that long himself. I would love this hire. I'm not sure if he'll get the job. I think Jared Calhoun is likely going to be the guy, but I love Brian Hodgson. And what I like, here's something else I like about Brian Hodgson. We talked about Jared Calhoun and many fans not liking his defense. Well, let's take a look at Brian Hodgson and his defense, why don't we? When you look at his defensive statistics, this past season at Arkansas State was number 10 in the country in opponent effective field goal percentage. This is out of all Division I schools now. They were 69th in opponent free throw percentage, 16th in opponent three-point percentage, number 22 in opponent two-point percentage, 24 in opponent shooting percentage, number 30 in opponent three-pointers made per game, top 100 in opponent points per game, top 100 in opponent first half points a game. I mean, you just go down the list. There's so many categories. Top number 51 in opponent defensive rebound percentage. So they keep their opponents off the defensive glass. I mean, you name it. I mean, they're a really good. Matter of fact, when watching some highlights, it reminds me a lot of watching a Darian DeVries defense. They're really good at guarding you one-on-one. They do a really good job of communicating and helping weak side or help side. They do a good job of protecting the three-point line. They do a good job of fighting through screens on the pick and roll. I mean, they're just a really good aggressive half-court defense. So, Wren loves defense. He likes a coach that can coach defense because it's easier to rebuild a program and easier to win with a good defense. You can coach a good, tough, hard-nosed defense in year one in a program. You don't have to necessarily recruit the most talented guys, quote unquote, just guys that play really hard and work hard and have a good work ethic and want to have heart and hustle. And that's the type of defense he's going to bring to the table. Defense travels. Wren Baker knows that. And look, I mean, Darian DeVries almost got the Mountaineers in the NCAA tournament this year with a really good defense and a subpar offense. And speaking of offense, Brian Hodgson, you watch his teams, they'll play an exciting style of offensive basketball. They're going to shoot a ton of shots. They're not going to hold the ball and shoot with under 10 on the shot clock. They're going to get down the floor, make one or two passes, and shoot it. Really fast paced. It'll be exciting to watch, I think. Are they the most efficient offense in the world? Probably not. But they're going to make it hard on you because they're going to run. They're going to go fast. They're not walking the ball up the court. They're running it up the court to get a shot off as quick as possible. Then they're going to get back, hustle, and get back on defense. So I like the style of play that Brian Hodgson brings to the table. But I want to know what you think. Would you like the hire of Brian Hodgson as the next West Virginia Mountaineer basketball coach? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I want to give another shout out to my sponsor, Appalachia Digital. I want to remind you about my brand new website, WVSportsChat.com. Come check it out. There are a lot of good articles over there by myself and other writers about West Virginia Mountaineer basketball, football, and baseball. We'll be covering the baseball team all season long. Looking to bring on, we'll likely be adding some new writers here in the very near future. So be on the lookout for more articles from WVSportsChat.com, or you can go to Couz'sCorner.com. It'll take you right to it as well. So go check out our work. It's also a way you can reach out to me, and it's a way you can find all of my content all in one place. I really appreciate, whether it be here or at Couz's Corner. I really appreciate you tuning into this episode. I really appreciate your support. Have a top shelf day. God bless, and Q Country Roads.